Every single day, you are building your personality, whether you realize it or not. The way you walk into a room, how you speak to a stranger, how you handle pressure, and even how you treat yourself when no one's watching, it all shapes who you are becoming. Your personality isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. And here's the truth most people never understand. You don't improve your personality by pretending to be confident, charming, or fearless. You improve it by doing the work no one sees, the inner work, the kind that rewires how you think, how you respond, and how you carry yourself. Because personality isn't performance, it's presence. And when you learn to master that, people won't just remember what you said, they'll remember how you made them feel. Your personality is your energy. It's not about the words you say, the clothes you wear, or how perfectly you present yourself. It's about the energy you bring into a space. People may forget what you told them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Every time you speak, every glance you give, every gesture you make, it all radiates the truth about what's going on inside you. You can't fake energy. You can't hide what you carry within. So if you want to improve your personality, start by improving the energy that drives it. That energy comes from your thoughts, your mindset, and your emotional state. If you constantly feed yourself negativity, insecurity, or fear, that's exactly what people will sense from you. Even if you're smiling, energy doesn't lie. But when you start building self-awareness, when you begin to take control of your inner voice, something changes. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, and connect differently. Because now, you're operating from clarity, not chaos. People can feel that calm confidence. It's quiet, but powerful. It's not loud or forceful, but it commands attention because it's real. Your personality isn't about trying to impress anyone. It's about expressing who you are with authenticity. When your energy aligns with your intentions, your presence becomes magnetic. That's why some people walk into a room and instantly shift the atmosphere, not because they're the most beautiful or the most talented, but because their energy is clean, confident, and grounded. They've done the work to build it. They've learned that the most attractive thing about a person is peace. Peace with themselves, peace with their purpose, and peace with how they treat others. Improving your personality every day means paying attention to that energy. Ask yourself, what am I carrying right now? Am I walking into this day with gratitude or resentment, with curiosity or judgment, with confidence or comparison? Because whatever you carry internally is exactly what you project externally. If you want to be someone who inspires, uplifts, and motivates others, you have to first inspire, uplift, and motivate yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't radiate warmth if you're filled with bitterness. So start small. Begin your day with intention. Speak kindly to yourself. Do something that strengthens your body and calms your mind. Choose your circle wisely because energy is contagious. Surround yourself with people who elevate you, not drain you. When you take care of what's inside, everything on the outside starts to shift naturally. Your tone softens, your eyes brighten, your confidence grows. Remember, your energy is your message. Every single day, you have the power to decide what that message will be. Will it be one of fear, doubt, and hesitation? Or will it be one of strength, calm, and purpose? The choice is yours. Because your personality is not defined by what happens to you. It's defined by how you choose to show up. Every day, in every moment, in every interaction. Build energy worth feeling, and watch how the world begins to respond differently to you. Confidence is not something you inherit, it's something you build. No one wakes up one morning suddenly fearless, bold, and ready to take on the world. Confidence is crafted in the quiet moments when no one is watching, in the times you doubt yourself but choose to act anyway. It's built through the small victories that come from stepping outside your comfort zone. People often believe confidence is natural, that some just have it and others don't. But that's not true. Confidence is a skill, and like any skill, it grows with consistent practice and deliberate effort. Think about the moments when you felt unsure, when you second-guessed your abilities, but still went forward. That's where confidence begins. It's not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move despite it. Every time you take a step you're afraid to take, you're teaching your mind that you are capable, that you can handle discomfort and uncertainty. Those repetitions matter. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like a muscle, if you stop challenging it, it weakens. That's why growth only happens when you lean into situations that make you uncomfortable. The people you see who appear naturally confident have simply failed more times than most. They've been rejected, criticized, and doubted, but they didn't let those experiences define them. Instead, they used them as data. Every mistake taught them something. Every setback built their resilience. They understand that confidence is not built on perfection. It's built on persistence. The willingness to try again, to refine, to get better every single day. True confidence isn't loud or arrogant. It's quiet, grounded, and self-assured. It's knowing that even if you don't have all the answers right now, you can figure them out along the way. To improve your personality every day, you must train confidence the same way you train discipline. Show up, speak up, volunteer for the task you're unsure about. Start conversations that scare you. The only way to become confident is by doing the things that challenge your self-doubt. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It will never come. Confidence doesn't show up before the action, it shows up after it. You earn it through motion, through momentum, through showing yourself what you're capable of when you stop hesitating. The truth is, your mind will always try to protect you by saying you're not ready, but readiness is a myth. No one feels completely ready for their next step. Not the speaker before the stage, not the athlete before the game, not the leader before the decision. They simply act. And in that action, confidence grows. So if you want to improve your personality, start treating confidence as a daily practice. Stretch it, test it, strengthen it. Because the more you show up for yourself, the more you'll realize that confidence isn't something you find. It's something you build every single day. Emotional control is the foundation of true strength. It's what separates people who react from those who respond. Anyone can lose their temper, anyone can lash out, but it takes discipline to stay calm when everything in you wants to explode. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means understanding your emotions deeply enough that they don't dictate your behavior. It's the quiet power of someone who knows that not every comment needs a response, not every insult deserves attention, and not every challenge requires a battle. The moment you learn to manage your emotions, you begin to master your outcomes, because emotions drive decisions, and decisions shape your life. When you let anger or insecurity take the lead, you lose perspective. You start reacting impulsively, saying things you don't mean, and doing things that don't align with who you really are. That's how people lose relationships, credibility, and opportunities. Not because they aren't capable, but because they let a moment of emotion destroy what took years to build. The truth is, emotions are temporary, but the consequences of losing control can be permanent. Power isn't in shouting the loudest or proving a point. Power is in being able to sit in chaos and still choose clarity. There's strength in silence. There's courage in restraint. Most people confuse calmness for weakness, but calmness is composure, and composure is control. When you are calm, you can see things others can't. You can hear beyond the noise, think beyond the moment, and act with purpose instead of impulse. Emotional control gives you an advantage in every area of life, in your career, your relationships, your goals. The person who can stay steady under pressure will always outperform the one who breaks under emotion, because control gives you space to make decisions based on wisdom, not reaction. You don't get emotional control by avoiding feelings. You get it by confronting them. When something triggers you, instead of reacting, pause. Ask yourself why. Is it pride, fear, insecurity? Awareness is the first step to mastery. The more you understand what sets you off, the more power you have over it. You start realizing that anger doesn't serve you, that proving yourself to everyone is exhausting, and that protecting your peace is far more valuable than winning an argument. Every time you pause instead of react, you grow stronger. Every time you choose dignity over drama, you build power. Emotional control isn't about being cold, it's about being in command. It's about choosing your values over your ego. You stop letting temporary emotions dictate permanent outcomes. The goal isn't to feel nothing, it's to feel deeply but act wisely. Because when you learn to control what's inside you, nothing outside you can control you. That's real power. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that commands respect. And when you live from that space, your personality evolves into something unshakable, grounded, confident, and truly in control. Listening is one of the most underrated skills when it comes to improving your personality. Everyone wants to be heard, but very few people want to truly listen. We live in a world where people are always waiting for their turn to speak, where conversations are more about replying than understanding. But here's the truth. The most magnetic people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the most present. They don't dominate the space with words. They command it with attention. When you listen deeply, you make the person in front of you feel seen, understood, and valued. And that is what leaves an impression. Listening is not about staying silent until it's your turn to talk. It's about being fully engaged, watching body language, catching tone, hearing what's being said and what's being left unsaid. When you do that, you connect on a deeper level. People can sense when you're truly interested in them versus when you're just waiting for your chance to jump in. That difference is everything. You gain respect, trust, and influence simply by giving others your undivided attention. In a world full of distractions, focused listening is rare, and rarity always holds power. The ability to listen well also makes you smarter. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn, to understand different perspectives, and to see the world beyond your own experiences. When you stop talking long enough to absorb what others are saying, you expand your emotional intelligence. You start to notice patterns. What motivates people? What scares them? What inspires them? That awareness allows you to communicate more effectively, to lead with empathy, and to build stronger relationships. Listening gives you insight, and insight gives you influence. Listening also builds discipline. It requires you to silence your ego, the part of you that constantly wants to prove a point, to be right, to be impressive. It takes humility to say, "Let me understand before I respond." But that humility strengthens your personality. It teaches you patience, empathy, and control. When you listen before speaking, your words carry more weight because they come from understanding, not reaction. People start to notice that when you talk, it's worth hearing. And that's how quiet people often become the most respected voices in the room. Not because they talk the most, but because they speak with meaning. Every day, you have a chance to practice this. Listen to understand, not to reply. Listen to learn, not to judge. Listen to connect, not to compete. When someone speaks to you, be there, fully. Put your phone down. Look them in the eyes. Absorb what they're saying. The more you do that, the more you'll realize how powerful presence really is. Because when you learn to listen, you don't just hear others better, you start to hear yourself better too. And that awareness, that calm attentiveness, is what turns a good personality into a great one. Your style might turn heads, but your standards will earn respect. The way you dress, talk, or present yourself can attract attention for a moment, but the way you carry your values, that's what people remember long after you've left the room. Too many people try to build their personality around image instead of integrity. They think that if they look confident or successful, it means they are. But appearance fades quickly when it isn't backed by substance. True personality isn't about what you wear, it's about what you allow, what you stand for, and what you refuse to compromise on. Keeping your standards means knowing who you are and what you deserve. It's not about being arrogant or difficult. It's about having self-respect. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you allow disrespect, manipulation, or half effort from others, that's what you'll keep getting. But when you draw the line, when you say, "This is not acceptable," you send a message, not just to others, but to yourself, that your worth isn't negotiable. That's where true power lies. It's not in being liked by everyone, it's in being respected for your principles. When you start raising your standards, people will test you. Some will call you too strict, too demanding, too serious. That's fine. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your time, energy, or peace. Protecting your standards isn't about being superior. It's about staying aligned with your purpose. You cannot grow if you constantly shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You cannot build confidence if you keep compromising your boundaries just to be accepted. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you lose a little piece of your power. And the more you do it, the further you drift from who you really are. The strongest personalities are not the ones who blend in, they're the ones who stand firm. They don't chase validation, they don't lower their expectations just to fit a crowd. They know that maintaining high standards might cost them certain people, but it will attract the right ones. The people who align with your energy, who respect your boundaries, and who see your worth without you having to prove it, those are the connections that help you grow. Your standards act like a filter. They keep your life clean from chaos, confusion, and compromise. So every day, check yourself. Ask, am I honoring my values today? Am I keeping my standards high, or am I letting the world decide them for me? Because your personality doesn't grow by being agreeable, it grows by being authentic. You can dress well, speak well, and carry yourself with grace, but none of that matters if you keep letting others cross lines that should never be crossed. Keep your standards. Protect them. Because style may attract attention, but standards build identity, and that's what lasts. Self-respect is the foundation of everything you project into the world. It's the silent confidence that speaks before you even open your mouth. When you respect yourself, you naturally command the same from others, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. The truth is, people treat you based on how you treat yourself. If you constantly downplay your worth, accept less than you deserve, or let others cross your boundaries, you're teaching them how to handle you. But when you carry yourself with quiet dignity, when you act like someone who knows their value, the world responds differently. You don't chase respect, you attract it. Self-respect begins with your inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself becomes the standard for how others will speak to you. If you constantly criticize yourself, doubt yourself, and shrink when opportunities appear, you're sending a signal that you don't believe in your own potential. But when you choose to back yourself, even in small ways, when you hold your head high after failure, when you keep your word to yourself, when you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you're showing yourself love in action. That kind of self-respect builds presence, and presence is what people feel when you enter a room. You can't fake self-respect. You can't buy it with clothes, titles, or achievements. It's something you earn through discipline and self-awareness. It's knowing your limits, but also knowing your worth. It's choosing not to beg for attention or approval because you understand that validation loses meaning when it has to be begged for. You stop performing for acceptance and start living with authenticity. That's where charisma is born, not from charm or appearance, but from genuine self-assurance. People gravitate toward those who are grounded in who they are. They can sense when someone doesn't need to prove themselves to be seen. Self-respect also means protecting your peace. You stop engaging in meaningless conflicts, stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided not to understand, and stop giving access to those who only take. You realize that not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially if they bring nothing but chaos. And that isn't arrogance, that's awareness. The moment you understand that your energy is valuable, you stop wasting it trying to convince others of your worth. You conserve it for the things and people that truly matter. Every decision you make, from how you handle criticism to how you treat your own goals, either strengthens or weakens your self-respect. The more you honor your values, the more magnetic you become. Charisma doesn't come from trying to be likable. It comes from being real, disciplined, and confident in your own space. So walk tall, speak with purpose, and carry yourself like someone worth knowing. Because when you respect yourself fully, you don't just change how people see you change how you see yourself. And that changes everything. Discipline is the silent architect of your identity. It's not the grand moments or the loud victories that define you. It's the quiet choices you make when no one is watching. Every small decision, waking up early when you'd rather sleep, pushing through a workout when your body wants to quit, keeping a promise you made to yourself. Those moments are shaping the person the world will meet. You can't control every outcome in life, but you can control your effort, your consistency, and your commitment. And that control, that discipline, is what separates people who dream from those who actually build. Most people want results without the routine. They want confidence without repetition, success without sacrifice, growth without discomfort. But discipline is not about motivation. It's about doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Because feelings are fleeting, but habits are permanent. The person who wins is not the one who feels inspired all the time. It's the one who shows up regardless. Discipline teaches you self-trust. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce the belief that you can depend on yourself. And that belief is what builds real confidence, the kind that can't be shaken by failure or doubt. Discipline also refines your character. It teaches you patience, focus, and respect for the process. You begin to understand that progress isn't always visible, that some days you won't see results, but that doesn't mean the work isn't working. Growth is happening underneath the surface, in your mindset, your resilience, your perspective. Discipline trains you to delay gratification, to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. That ability is rare, and that's why disciplined people stand out. They don't move with trends or emotions. They move with purpose. The truth is, discipline doesn't restrict you. It frees you. It gives you control over your life. It creates structure where chaos used to live. It builds confidence through consistency. When you live with discipline, you stop being ruled by laziness, fear, or distraction. You become someone others can rely on because you've learned to rely on yourself. And that's powerful. You no longer chase motivation because you've built systems that carry you through the days when motivation disappears. That's how leaders are made. That's how strong personalities are built. Not overnight, but over time, through repetition and responsibility. So if you want to improve your personality every day, start by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect mindset. Start small, with one habit, one goal, one commitment, and do it consistently. Over time, those small acts of discipline will compound into self-respect, confidence, and strength. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the person you've become wasn't shaped by luck or chance, but by every disciplined choice you made when it would have been easier not to. That's the identity worth building. Adaptability is one of the most underrated strengths a person can have. The truth is, life will never go exactly as you plan. People will change, situations will shift, and circumstances will test you in ways you didn't expect. If you want to grow, you have to learn to adjust without losing yourself. Too many people spend their lives chasing approval, trying to please, trying to fit in, trying to be liked. But the more you chase acceptance, the more you drift away from your authenticity. Adaptability isn't about changing who you are to be accepted. It's about learning how to stay true to yourself while navigating a changing world. That balance is where personal power lives. People who constantly seek approval are always on unstable ground because their sense of self depends on how others see them. One bad comment, one disagreement, one rejection, and they collapse. But adaptable people are different. They don't crumble under criticism because they don't need validation to keep moving. They understand that not everyone will agree with them, and that's okay. They can adjust their strategy without compromising their standards. They bend, but they don't break. And that ability to adapt without losing integrity makes them unstoppable. Adaptability is strength in motion. It's having the awareness to see when something isn't working and the humility to change it. It's realizing that growth sometimes requires you to let go of old versions of yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. You might have to unlearn habits, change environments, or walk away from people who no longer align with your purpose. But that's how evolution works. You can't hold on to the past and expect to move forward. When you adapt, you make space for new opportunities, new lessons, and new strength to emerge. But don't mistake adaptability for fakeness. Being adaptable doesn't mean becoming whoever people want you to be. It means knowing yourself so well that you can move confidently in any situation without losing your identity. You can step into new spaces, work with different kinds of people, and face unfamiliar challenges while still being grounded in your principles. That's the difference between a chameleon who changes to blend in and a leader who adjusts to thrive. One hides to survive, the other grows to succeed. Every day, life gives you a choice: change or resist. Those who resist stay stuck, and those who adapt rise higher. You can't control the waves, but you can learn how to surf them. Stop worrying about who approves of you and start focusing on who you're becoming. Because approval fades, but adaptability keeps you relevant, resilient, and real. The goal isn't to please everyone, it's to evolve into someone even challenges can't break. Adaptability will make your personality fluid yet firm, flexible in approach, unshakable in values. And when you live that way, you no longer chase acceptance, you earn respect. Curiosity is what keeps your mind alive. It's what separates people who simply exist from those who truly live. When you stop being curious, you stop growing. Most people go through life on autopilot, repeating the same routines, having the same conversations, thinking the same thoughts. And then they wonder why nothing feels exciting anymore. But curiosity keeps you awake. It pushes you to ask why, to dig deeper, to understand the world beyond what's obvious. A curious mind is a sharp mind, and sharp minds build powerful personalities. Because curiosity gives you something no appearance ever can: depth. There's something magnetic about people who are genuinely interested in life. They ask questions. They listen with intent. They don't pretend to know everything. They make you think. They make you feel seen, and they make you want to be better. You can sense their hunger to learn in the way they talk, in the way they observe, in the way they connect the dots others miss. And the reason they stand out isn't just because they're knowledgeable, it's because they're engaged. When you're curious, you radiate a kind of energy that says you're alive, you're evolving, you're paying attention. That's a rare and powerful quality in a world where so many people have become comfortable with mediocrity. Curiosity doesn't just make you smarter, it makes you more human. When you seek to understand others instead of judging them, you build empathy. When you ask questions instead of assuming, you build perspective. When you explore new ideas, read, travel, and challenge your beliefs, you become more flexible, open-minded, and grounded. You stop fearing people who think differently, and instead, you start learning from them. That kind of growth changes the way you communicate. It makes your personality richer, not because you know more facts, but because you see the world through a wider lens. Being curious also means being humble enough to admit you don't know everything. That's something confident people understand deeply. Arrogance closes the door to learning, curiosity opens it. The moment you think you've learned enough, you start declining. But when you stay curious, you never stop evolving. You read a little more, you listen a little closer, and you ask questions that others overlook. And slowly, that habit separates you from the crowd. Because while others are busy talking, you're busy discovering. And discovery always leads to growth. If you want to improve your personality every day, feed your curiosity like it's oxygen. Learn something new, a skill, a story, a perspective. Ask people about their experiences. Step into situations that challenge your thinking. The goal isn't to be the smartest person in the room, it's to be the one who never stops learning. Curiosity keeps your mind sharp, your spirit young, and your presence magnetic. Because while appearance can draw attention for a moment, curiosity earns admiration for a lifetime. Protecting your peace is not about running away from the world. It's about learning how to stay centered while living in it. Every day, you're surrounded by noise, opinions, expectations, negativity, pressure. If you don't protect your inner space, the world will drain it without asking permission. Your peace is your power, and without it, everything else begins to crumble. You can be talented, driven, and full of potential, but if your mind is chaotic, nothing flows. When you protect your peace, you protect your ability to think clearly, to act intentionally, and to stay grounded in who you are, no matter what's happening around you. Most people lose their peace because they try to control everything: people, outcomes, opinions. But the truth is, peace comes from letting go, not holding tighter. You can't control how others behave, but you can control what you give your energy to. You can't stop people from talking about you, but you can choose not to let their words live rent-free in your mind. Protecting your peace means understanding that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every battle is worth fighting, and not every noise deserves your attention. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is silence. Not because you're weak, but because you refuse to be disturbed. Your peace is sacred because it determines your presence. When you're calm and clear, you make better decisions, you communicate with wisdom, and you carry yourself with quiet authority. People feel it. They notice that you don't get rattled easily, that your energy doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. That steadiness is rare, and rare always commands respect. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care selectively. You choose where to place your emotions, and you don't let temporary chaos disrupt permanent purpose. There will always be people who test your peace, those who complain constantly, those who drain your energy, those who thrive on drama. You can't change them, but you can set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They keep your energy clean by allowing only what serves your growth. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, it makes you self-aware. The more you learn to walk away from what disturbs your peace, the more powerful you become. You begin to operate from intention, not reaction. You respond, you don't explode. You stay grounded, you stay aligned. Every day, ask yourself one simple question: what's costing me my peace, and is it worth it? Because nothing, no job, no relationship, no argument, is worth losing yourself over. Protecting your peace is not an act of escape, it's an act of strength. It's a commitment to choose calm over chaos, clarity over confusion, and stability over stress. When you guard your peace, your personality shines. You become unshakable, not because life is easy, but because you've learned how to stay calm within the storm. And that kind of energy doesn't just influence others, it transforms them.